Hi guys. So today again we're focusing on fraction problems. In our second video, we're going to be doing problems that have several small fractions. So again, we've already learned how to deal with one small fraction on Tuesday. And then our first video was about big fractions, but now we're going to do lots of little fractions. And so here is our first example. In this problem, I have two fractions, and so we're going to deal with this a little bit different than how we did when it was just one really big fraction. So since they're two separate fractions, I need a new strategy. The strategy that I'm going to use is I'm going to try to create a common denominator for every term in the entire problem. So I want this small fraction and this small fraction, but also this whole number over here. I want everything to have the same common denominator, LCD, least common denominator. So to accomplish that, I need to make the 10 into a fraction so that it can get a denominator. And every whole number is just over 1, so I can just make it 10 over 1. And then I need to think of a number that can be divided by 4. And I want that same number to also be divisible by 3. So a number that can be divided by 4 and a number that can be divided by 3. And hopefully I can think of a small number. And that number is 12. So my common denominator is 12. And so now I need to make all of the fractions have a 12 on the bottom. So in this first fraction, where I have a 4 on the bottom, if I times that by 3, it'll become 12. Now, whatever you multiply the bottom of a fraction by, you have to multiply the top also. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom by 3. For my second small fraction, I have a 3. If I multiply that by 4, it will become a 12. So I'm going to multiply the top and bottom of this second fraction by 4. Now, for this third number over here that wasn't even a fraction when we started, I'm just going to have to straight up multiply by the common denominator. So I'm going to multiply this by 12. And again, whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top as well. So I do need to multiply that 10 by 12 also. And that creates this new equation. So I now have 9x over 12 minus 4x over 12 equals 120 over 12. Once you get a common denominator for every single term in the whole entire problem, left side, right side, whole numbers, everything is turned into a fraction over 12, you can wave your magic wand and you can make all of the denominators go away. Now you can only wave your magic wand if all the denominators are the same number and if everything has a denominator. So they all had to be that number 12 before I could whoosh, magic them away. Now I have a much simpler problem. My problem now says 9x minus 4x equals 120. And I can solve that into just 2 more steps. So we need to combine like terms. 9x minus 4x makes 5x. All right, we just add them together exactly how they are. So 9 and a negative 4. And then I'm going to divide both sides by 5. And I get my final answer is 24. 24. Now, again, just like on the other problems that we've been doing this week, you can take that 24 and plug it back in to see if it's right or wrong. Okay. Let's do one more just to make sure we understand what we're doing. So in this problem, again, I have 3 fractions actually, right? I've got 3 little fractions, and my goal is to make all of the fractions have a common denominator. So when I'm finding my common denominator, I want to find a number that can be divided by 3, and a number that can also be divided by 2, and a number that also can be divided by 6. Okay, so now it's called a least common denominator, but that doesn't mean it has to be a small number. It could be a bigger number. And so a number that can be divided by 3 and 2 and 6, actually it already exists in this problem, it's 6. I can change all of these numbers into a 6, and 6 can be divided by 3, and it can be divided by 2, and it can be divided by 6. So I'm going to make everything have a denominator of 6. For the first fraction, I'm going to do 3 times 2. We'll make a 6 on the bottom, and I have to times by 2 on the top as well. For my second fraction, I'm going to times it by 3. 3 times 2 again on the bottom makes a 6, and I have to times the top as well. Now on my last fraction, I already have a 6, so I don't actually have to multiply that by anything because it already is the number 6. If you really want to multiply it by something, you can multiply it by the number 1. Now I have a common denominator in every part of the problem. Every single number is a fraction, and they're all fractions over the number 6. So I wave my magic wand, make all the 6's disappear. And I'm left with a much easier problem to work with. 4x plus -3 or -3 equals 5. Next, I'm going to add the 3 to the other side. Finally, I'll divide by the 4, and my final answer is x equals 2. Okay, so again, today, when you have a bunch of little fractions, or even just like 2 small fractions, right? More than 1 small fraction. 2 small fractions, try to get a common denominator. Once you have a common denominator, wave that magic wand, and then it should become much simpler. This concludes our second video.